It's Movie Time is brought to you by the Gateway Film Center, 1550 North High Street, Columbus, Ohio. Further details and showtimes online at gatewayfilmcenter.org.
The award-winning It's Movie Time is produced by John DeSando. Listen to the shows and read reviews online at WCBE.org.
I'm John DeSando.
And I'm Kevin Carr.
And this is
It's Movie Time!
Kevin, look it's not a good time of year for movies. So you and I are out there foraging around for good ones, and we found a couple of foreign films that I think are worth talking about on It's Movie Time. Now, granted, last week Gateway opened them up, and they could be gone by the time people are hearing this show.
Possibly.
But, right, they can get them somewhere else.
Yeah, a lot of them are on demand. That's actually what's nice about like some of the limited releases. You can get them on demand if you miss them. But yeah, it's always nice to see them in the theater, too.
Two movies, one called The Treasure from Romania, and the other one called In the Shadow of Women, which I have been all my life. But it's a French movie. I know we all have. So why don't we discuss The Treasure first?
Sure.
Was this just kind of a slow-witted movie, Kevin? I mean,
it's not an American movie. Let's just put it this way. It's very different. And if you look at this, a lot of times, if you look at international cinema, they tend to be about more, let's just say, down-to-earth stories. I don't know if the Romanian film market has massive budgets.
Right.
So they tend to be more contained, and they tend to be, about a smaller thing. And it's listed as a comedy.
I know that absurdist, I would say.
Yeah, it is, but it's very dry. This is not Ride Along with Kevin Hart and Ice Cube. Yeah, it's a slow burn, and in a way, I think there's a lot that's lost in translation because it's in Romanian,
sure.
And there's a lot of cultural references in there, but
to their revolution at some point.
Yes.
I think, but that's clearly veiled, and I think you'd have to know it to pick it up. But basically, these clowns, these Three Stooges, are trying to find buried treasure in the backyard because the two main guys are trying to find it and to get some money, and the guy with the metal detector is there to kind of point out how silly these guys are.
Yeah, the whole point is that they got a lead on this treasure, and they're trying to find it, and it's really only in three distinct parts. I mean, the first part is them figuring it out, where finding out that there might be treasure. Then the long part in the middle is them searching for it. When I say searching for it, this is not Indiana Jones. They're not going through caverns and everything. They're walking across a field with a detector.
It is almost in real time.
Yeah.
Oh, that metal detector is going over. You can imagine a couple of acres or whatever it is, taking a metal detector over every part of that to try to find metal. It is sometimes excruciatingly minimalist.
Well, and it's a bold choice because you have three people in a field for like 20, 30 minutes of the movie. And you see each person has a different thing. And the guy with the metal detector, he's just there doing a job. The one guy who hired him, he's mad that they're not finding anything, and the third guy's just like, let's keep looking. Let's do what we have. Let's do. And in a way, it's a bit of a microcosm of any sort of job you do.
Oh yeah.
Where you have different people, and I think that's what it's meant to be. It's not about trying to find a treasure. It's about how people interact.
Our dreams, our foolishness. When he's trying to tell his wife is what I think it was really pointed out how foolish this whole enterprise was.
Yeah.
Reminding me of three different pieces, Kev.
Okay.
The first one, I think you would agree, The Treasure of Sierra Madre.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
In some way.
In a much more restrained.
Right, in a much more minimalist way.
Yeah.
The second one is from my English literature background, The Partner's Tale with Chaucer, where the three guys go looking for gold under a tree. And what they find is death.
Yeah.
Because they kill each other for the gold. And the other one, which is a stretch, is Beckett's Waiting for Godot.
Okay.
Only in that sense of waiting for something to happen.
You want something to happen.
Right? And nothing really happens.
Yeah.
Except, Kevin, that ending.
They have a certain, they turn on a dime with a certain things on the end.
I mean,
I don't want to give anything away.
No,
but
I know that. It's a most challenging ending.
Yeah.
Considering what's come before.
The thing with the ending, and this is, I think, was what I found most challenging about it, was because you're set up for this whole that the movie's going to be a certain way.
Yeah.
And when you get to the end, it does something that's very different and I think unique to the situation. And I mean, I guess I would say I'm almost still processing what it all means. And that's where I say you probably have to know a certain amount of historical context and cultural context that I don't have to fully understand where they're going for, because they definitely have a message and a point to make.
Yes.
And they go about it in a rather absurd way.
Yes, it is. I like Colin. He's the one with the metal detector.
Yes.
And I like what he says. A man makes his own problems. They don't descend from heaven.
Yeah.
And so you remember how the camera goes up at the end, kind of up to heaven.
Okay.
So it kind of made me looking for a responsibility from somewhere else, like the deity or whatever.
Look at you getting all
I know.
involving the
Well,
cinematography and
this
everything.
thing drove me crazy. And that ending was just, I mean, Linda and I got out of there and we're going, what? What
Yeah.
was that ending all about? So I've been working on that baby for a couple of days.
Yeah, yeah.
But anyway, so it's called The Treasure. It's from Romania.
Yeah.
It's probably not at Gateway now, but for sure look for it because it is entertaining. If we've kind of indicated,
Yeah.
it's worth watching.
It's certainly something different to check out.
So Kevin Carr, the movie is The Treasure, and what grade would you give it?
I'm going to give it a B-.
All right.
It was good, but it is not your typical fare.
Right, and I'm going to give it a B+ because it stimulated so many other references for me. But we're still in that B range for it.
Yeah.
Now, no surprises.
Mm-hmm.
In the Shadow of Women,
Mm-hmm.
French.
We.
And
That it is. I'm going into Monty Python here.
and it's it's two characters, as only the French could do, who are in love, but who are having problems.
Well, then you introduce a third character.
Right.
Yeah.
And a fourth.
Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah.
and we have issues here of fidelity, or let's say infidelity.
Yeah.
And what I love about the French, and this is very new wave, post new wave kind of.
Very is an understatement.
Oh, okay, right. Yeah, right.
It's pretty much it's a total homage to that movement.
It is. Yeah.
I mean, it's so deliberately.
I know it. So you have a really stripped down mise en scène. You just have your characters, and you have
Angsting over each other.
Angsting over each other, giving you this sense of reality.
Yeah.
I mean, there's very much in this about the relationship between the man and the woman. They're both documentary filmmakers.
Yeah.
And they're not very wealthy.
No.
They're picking up jobs all over the place. They're both attractive people, and kind of, would you say their 30s?
I think so. You know, I didn't look up their ages,
Yeah.
but I would say 30s.
Yeah, somewhere.
So they're actually a little bit old to be the young documentarians.
They are.
Yeah.
They are. But they're struggling. But and I think, I don't know, I'm not giving it away, but I love the crux of this movie is both of them are unfaithful.
Oh yeah.
And the nub of the problem is that the clueless husband is going to rag on her for being unfaithful, forgetting, of course, that he has been unfaithful.
Well, you know, and this is the thing where I'm not a huge fan of the new wave. Okay. So right there, and I know you love that.
I do.
It's a huge thing. So yeah, so you're into it. But as I'm watching, I mean, and this is where I said it was so deliberately. I mean, it's in black and white. It's shot in, you know, in Bohemian apartments. You know, it's got that sort of like supposedly sexually liberated tone, but it's completely misogynistic at the same time.
It is.
So it fits in that historical context of that where we're all liberated, but you're a woman, you can't do this, and that's kind of. That's deliberate. All the stuff that I guess would kind of annoy me is extremely deliberate as a send-up of the genre. So I think that works. And I think there's a lot of truth in that. Because, heck, we all have friends who, you know, fooled around.
Yes.
And, you know, people tend to, and this is not a man or a woman thing. Whoever's fooling around will get very jealous if their partner starts fooling around too, even though they're doing the same thing. That's a human thing.
Yeah.
And I think they point that out, but they frame it in the context of where it's very misogynistic. It's very sexist, but it's liberated but sexist. And I think it's going for that truth, and it hits that.
Yes.
But it's definitely for people who love the French New Wave.
I know, right. the women in this film are most interesting. I believe, my take on it is they're less, it's not that they're less affected by it,
Yeah.
but they seem to be more level-headed about the business than the men. The man, and we don't know much about her lover.
Yeah, he's just eye candy.
Yeah.
You know.
But for her husband, and he's kind of floating around. I don't even think the intern with whom he becomes involved, he's not in love with her. He's in love with her body, but he's not necessarily.
Oh yeah, she's just young and new. I mean, that's really all.
Yeah,
it is.
yeah. But I think I see the wife, our central wife, Manon,
Yeah.
as much, I don't know, much more worthwhile than he.
He's a bit of a he's a bit of a scallywag. I mean, he's sort of like, and the whole thing is that he's attractive and there's a certain appeal to him, but all that appeal, aside from a certain youthful quality, is the small degree of fame he has as this filmmaker. He would never have vetted the young girl, not young girl. I mean, the new girl. He wouldn't have vetted her had he been not the star of this.
Right.
Now the other thing is, and I know you say it's grounded. I think it's grounded. There's a lot of truth in it, because people are crazy.
Yeah.
People are nuts. And I mean, there's even a part where she's talking to her friend, and her friend's like, "Oh yeah, I broke up with this guy, or had and I like, what'd you do? Trash his apartment or something like that?" And you're like, man, people are crazy, but that stuff happens.
Oh, well, and Kevin, it's France,
where
I think they make infidelity a sport. and so
it's going to be at the Olympics this year.
So there is that element of it, and I think you're so right. You could take this as a satire immediately, even though I tend to take it seriously. I love these relationships. I love that whole continental feel to it, and I love it. But you're absolutely right. If you take just a real distant view of this thing is all pretty silly as it relates to the new wave.
If it would wink and nod at the audience, it could almost be a spoof.
Oh, that's right. I know it.
I would say, but they do it very dryly. Even how they wrap things up at the end, you're just like, oh, you people.
Well, I would say that for In the Shadow of Women, and I'm trying to figure this out too, as I did with The Treasure. Yeah. What does that mean?
And was that a direct translation of the French title?
I'm going to just take the English here. It's a good question. I'm taking only the English, and I'm going to say, and it's not. I'll tell you why, and you probably know why too. The English translation puts the in, that preposition there, whereas the French does not have the preposition. It is The Shadow of Women.
See, that's a totally different title.
Isn't that interesting?
And it means something.
You are so right.
Yeah.
Let me take the English title. In the Shadow of Women. Yeah. He certainly is in the shadow of her, emotionally, I think.
And of his lover. I mean, she's, he's in the shadow of his wife, as well as his main squeeze, and he's in her shadow because he's older and he's not super young and he's not doing as well as he would have liked to have been. Yeah. And even have a whole discussion at the beginning where her mother's saying, well, you could do so much more. You're basically carrying him along.
Right, carrying him along. Yeah. I used the only word I know that fits him well for me is clueless. Yeah. Now, Kevin Carr, this is called In the Shadow of Women. Yeah. What grade would you award it?
I'm going to say C.
Oh, Kevin.
And that's just because I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of that makeup and that genre. But I mean, like I said, boy, if you love this kind of stuff, it's a must see. And I'm sure yours is
A-.
There you go.
Very good.